Hey everyone, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and I'm outside the Ocho, which has had a crazy last 6 months. We've had one apartment eviction on the top left up there, which was a horrible eviction. They didn't move out at all, had left all their stuff, and they yelled at me and screamed at me. Later on, they asked me for some help. I might talk about that here soon. Then we had another squatter eviction in the bottom right unit where the tenant had moved out, then some of her friends had moved in, they wouldn't leave, they never paid rent, never had a lease, went to court, the court gave them time to stay, finally got that eviction done. They also did not move out at all and had to move a bunch of their stuff, not quite as much stuff, not quite as much yelling, which was nice. And then on the top right, we had a tenant who was missing for a while. He was found safe, which was fantastic. We were all pretty worried about that, especially from the cops, what they were telling us. We thought it was not going to end nicely, but they moved out, left a bunch of stuff. That's okay. And right now I've made this video to tell you if there's more drama or not on the Ocho, and there's no drama right now. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what to do with myself because I came here to get quarters from the coin op laundry, and usually I have to check on something or worry about something or look at something while I'm here, and we don't. We just have to check quarters. That's it. Because the top left one, which we remodeled, is rented. The bottom right one, which we remodeled, is rented. And the top right one is not rented yet because we want to do a real light rehab before we rent it again. And we've got our guys busy doing other projects, but here in the next, hopefully, week, we'll start remodeling that one. We had a garage eviction too, which I didn't even mention. That was the most recent eviction. We had an eviction there where a garage tenant was not paying rent forever because we have 8 garages in back that go with these units, plus we have 8 more garages we rent separately. And the garages in back, we had 2 of those vacant. Both of those also are rented now too. So everything is rented except for the one top right unit, which we want to rehab here. I've been talking about possibly selling this property once we get it stabilized. So I'm really going to seriously start thinking about that process now, what it might be worth, what we can sell it for. It's definitely harder to sell multifamily properties, income properties right now with interest rates as high as they are. And I'm not really seeing prices drop on them. What we are seeing is less for sale. There's almost no multifamily for sale because landlords have said, hey, I'm not even going to try to sell it. We're just going to hold on to it, because most people who have multifamily have seen rents go up, values increase, and most have very low interest rates on the loans, so there's no reason to sell if they don't have to, so they're just holding them. And that's often what you see in a high interest rate environment like we have right now. Housing prices have gone up the last 2 months. Inventory has been going down the last 2 months, so there is not a massive crash happening right now. In fact, it's kind of the opposite across the board. So this property has no drama. It's been going pretty well. Maybe we'll look at some numbers here and what our income is to try and figure out some kind of value based on today's market. But again, it might be one of those like my complex and other properties where they have rent coming in, they're making money. We can put them up for sale, and if someone wants to buy them, great. If not, then we just keep holding them and keep making money. If interest rates drop, interest picks up, maybe they'll sell at that point. We'll go from there. And one other thing I want to talk about real quick, I know some people get mad at me when I say things like this, but I think it's actually a good indicator of properties based on my personal experience. I don't have any studies or anything to back this up. But if we look around here right now, this is kind of the fewest cars I think I've ever seen here at the Ocho. Usually I come here during the day while I'm working, and the street is lined with cars, especially when I first bought it. And even though almost all of it's rented, there aren't that many cars, which is a good sign. And I've seen this at the complex at 2 during the day, where we don't see many cars there, but there happen to be lots of cars on the weekends. And not to be a jerk, but it kind of indicates people are working, they have jobs. Some of our biggest pet peeves here, where we had tenants who literally had never paid us rent themselves, were relying on COVID payments, didn't have jobs, didn't work, and then were ordering Grubhub and getting all of their food delivered to them because they wouldn't even leave at all, ever. So this is kind of nice to see on that side of it. Here are our garages, and of course there's a tire in the alley, so there has to be a little bit of drama. But you can see we're replacing the garage doors back here. as kind of tenants move out and we can fix them. We still have one that's still wood, and those are kind of easy to break into. The metal ones are much harder. And ironically, as I was talking back there about there not being many cars and people, I realized the car I was standing right next to had the window open with the guy sitting in there. So he probably heard everything I said, but that's okay still. There are my kids' quarters from the complex. They had a pretty good week. Oh, that's a really good week again here at the Ocho. And for once, we're here with no drama. That's a really good, that might be our best week we've had in a while. That could easily be, might be 80, 70, 80, that's my guess. We'll see. All right, so this is the Ocho Rent roll from over a year ago, and I showed the original rent, market rent, what my current rent was back then, so I can kind of compare what it was then to what it is now, and maybe what the value might be if we sell it. So before I dig into that, I wanted to mention real quick too, I had the tenant who came to my office after they were evicted. This is the tenant who didn't pay rent for, I don't think the whole time I had the property. They had COVID coming in, paying rent for them. Then that dried up. They didn't have any more of that. They got behind. I told them, give me something, like $50 to show me you have good faith, because they're trying to get more COVID money. They wouldn't even do that. They would pay absolutely nothing. We went through the eviction. They kept begging me over and over again not to evict them. They'd catch up. They'd pay rent, all this stuff, but literally wouldn't give me $50 to show any type of good faith. So we went through with the eviction, and that's the one where they didn't think they're going to get evicted. They hadn't moved anything. It was full of junk. It's one of the worst evictions ever. We found a cat. We found litter boxes under clothes, trash, and just junk everywhere. It was just a horrible property. And then they yelled at me, cussed at me the whole time as soon as the cops left, of course. And then we had to call the cops back there because they kept turning the water on, just causing all kinds of problems. And so, 3 months later, the tenant comes into my office and talks to me because I happen to be taking care of my fish tank, and she saw me and she's like, hey, Mark, she's like, are you going to file a judgment against me for rent? And I'm like, probably not, because it's not worth it. I know she didn't have any money. And she said, well, I'm just curious. I'm like, are we all good and all square? I'm like, we're not all good. You still owe us, thousands of dollars of money, but I probably won't file a judgment against you. And she said, great, can you write that in a letter? I'm like, okay, I guess send me an email or something, and I'll write a letter saying something to that effect. So she sent me an email, said, hey, can you please write a letter saying that you're not filing a judgment? So I wrote a letter. It's very honest, said we weren't filing a judgment, and described the eviction a little bit in that letter as well. So I don't know if she's trying to get another property or what was going on, but I definitely was going to explain to whoever was curious about that what the situation was and how that happened. So, but now we're much better positioned on that property. So I have my calculator here in case we need that. But this shows the original rent on the units when we bought it, and it was pretty low. The old landlord was re-renting stuff at $11.50 a month. But as we saw, I think he's pretty much renting it to anybody who had a pulse, not doing any tenant screening or anything like that. He said had some other tenants who were paying $1,000, even $975. And then here's what my market rent was, which I thought was $12.50 a month for all the properties. And then after we had a few months, this is what our current rent was on some of those properties. You can see is kind of saying we did rent. We remodeled, rented one unit for $12.50, which was nice. We saw that our rent numbers were correct. We had another unit where we did the same thing on. And then some of these stars, I believe, are tenants who are behind in rent or they're moving out soon. And our current rent at that time was $79.50. I think because one of these was vacant too, and I forgot to write those numbers down. Now, all the units are rented except for one. That's the one I talked about that we probably will do a remodel on. And they're all rented for $12.50 except for two, which are at $11.50. So we have raised the rent significantly on that side of it. And let me keep scrolling along here because I've got more numbers I want to show you. Oh, garages, yes. So here are the garages. And they were all rented for $150, $160 in that range. One was vacant. And I thought market rent was $200 when I bought the property. Well, what we've ended up doing is we've rented these for $250. So we have 4 rented for $250 and 4 rented for $200, I believe. So all of the new garages that came for rent, we've been able to rent for $250. All the existing tenants, we said, hey, we're raising your rent to 200 if you want to stay. If not, you can leave. But that's still below market rent. And so we gave them a little bit of a deal. So right now it is all rented for $11,600 a month, assuming we rent the new unit for $1,250. And so we could sell it now and leave that unit vacant, which is often done so people can see the unit. They don't have to go through tenants and do that. However, it's not remodeled yet, so we could remodel it, then put it up for sale and show people what it looks like when remodeled, or just say, hey, we're leaving it like this and letting the new owner remodel it if they want. There's two different options there. I think it's probably better to make it nicer and remodel it first before we sell it. But looking at these numbers, like I've said before, $11,600 a month. If we want to come up with the value, we multiply that by 12 to get kind of what the value is. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to cheat. I want to see what my numbers say here before. So current, apartment, future. So I was thinking we would have 11,800 in the future. We have 11,600, and that's with a couple of units that are not at the 1,250 number. So if we got to the 1,250 number, that would make that $500 more. Would be higher than we thought, one that would be at the 1,250 number. And I'm trying to think. Hold on. I was trying to figure out why my numbers were off. Is because I forgot laundry. I have laundry in here. So, and we have been making. Trying to think. I don't know if it's quite 200 a month. I'd say 150 a month on laundry. But we had a couple of those units vacant as well. So if we do have them all occupied, we'll probably be close to that as well. But we'll leave out laundry for right now. And I thought my value would be about $2 million all stabilized and 1.8 stabilized before. And I was using a lower cap rate before because that was when interest rates were lower. And we have seen what properties like this are selling for drop a little bit. Actually, I wouldn't say they dropped, they just aren't selling right now. So if we really want to sell it, we might have to do a lower cap rate. And I've just been doing a very basic gross cap rate of even like 8 would make it worth 1.74 million. And that's a pretty conservative gross cap rate. I think before I was using a 7 number, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. I think that would have been the range. And so I think we could sell it for close to 1.8 when you consider the laundry and the potential there. And people love garages. And there's some storage units that people could really rent out too if they want to. There's 8 storage units that go with the apartments. There's 4 extra ones that we haven't done anything with. We haven't bothered to rent. So I will probably sell this property, put up for sale here soon. I think we'll wait till the remodel is done on that unit and then put it up for sale then and see what happens with it. Like I said, right now, we paid $1.35 million for it. We have a 5% kind of private loan against it, and that is right around $1 million because we put money down. So our loan payment is definitely much lower than what the rent is. It's making money. It's not. We're not in a huge rush to sell it. But as far as the Ocho goes and multifamily goes, it hasn't been the best experience the last year, as many of you know. And I think I would have more fun taking that money and putting it into some other deals, maybe some commercial properties, things like that, where I think I've done much better in the past and actually had much less drama. All right, so that's the property. That's the update. Things are going much better now, so that's good. Love the likes, love the comments, love to hear what you think about the property. Nice to see the Ocho doing better, and hopefully it continues to do better. I do see we need to fix this fence still. That was supposed to be done a little while ago. And but yeah, we'll have more updates on the Ocho. And thanks for watching. Love all the likes, support, comments, all that great stuff. Be back soon, hopefully with not any more drama.